Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good afternoon. Whatever applies. Uh, boy, you know what's the name of this video? It's kind of self-explanatory. Man, right now we're living in an upside-down world. I have a few opinions I'd like to share. The coronavirus. Uh, is it infectious? Yes. Does it exist? Yes. Is it as bad as what everybody says it is? No, it's not. Uh, Top medical experts are starting to come out now and say that uh, this strain of virus is not as dangerous or as life-threatening as the normal flu season for 2019. But what would someone have to gain by making people wear masks and stand 6 feet apart? And not that a lot of people, or most people, are doing that, but you're always going to have a few that just, well, you can't fix stupid. Anyway, there's a very fine line between protecting the American public and stomping on their constitutional rights. We've already seen riots in California and Michigan and a couple other states where people said, hey, look, we're adults. Let us go back to work. We're aware of the virus. We know how to protect ourselves from it. So why wouldn't somebody be all in for that? Well, if you do a little research, I'm retired, so I have time to do a lot of research, and I do a lot of research. Talk to Bill Gates. Talk to Dr. Fauci. How is it that Fauci was working on a remedy for HIV in 1981? That's 2 years before HIV was found out about. How did Dr. Fauci know 2 years in advance when he made a video stating that the next president will have to deal with a pandemic? How would he know that? Unless, is it possible Dr. Fauci could be a globalist, part of the NWO? For those of you who don't know, that means New World Order. This country's in a mess. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. For example, there's talk of a second stimulus check. Um, I don't know about you, but a second stimulus check would certainly help me out a lot. But, the White House is saying, they're not really in favor of a second stimulus check. Well, the White House doesn't make that decision. Congress makes that decision. And they're both being told to stay out of D.C. because of this supposedly deadly virus. I mean, you find out all kinds of things if you do your research. Things like anyone who dies in a hospital is automatically tagged as a COVID-19 victim. Inflating numbers? Absolutely. President Trump wants to talk about reopening the country and getting everybody back to work. I'm all for that, but there's only one problem with it. He's talking about partially reopening the country, certain areas, and that's not going to give the economy the stimulus that it needs to grow. I mean, let's face it, things like the stock market, gold, silver, things of value like that. I mean, those are manipulated to reflect whatever people like Bill Gates, the Rothschilds, the Illuminati, more or less. Those numbers can reflect whatever they want them to reflect. And, as somebody that was quarantined for a month, I don't know. Things are just being overplayed. Yeah, this virus is not as deadly as what it's being made out to be, and somebody is covering up something. Back to my guy, Dr. Fauci. Yeah, I'd like for him to be investigated by Congress, and the Senate's talking about doing that, but we'll have to wait and see if that happens. Because when he was head of the NIH, he funneled $3.7 million into the Wuhan, China lab that gave birth to this virus. But, what are we going to do? I've said before, I think we're going to have a war with China, which would do neither side any good. War is never the answer. I mean, right now in Africa, China is buying their oil reserves, from African countries, and that just upsets apple carts. Uh, the United States, Saudi Arabia, Russians, how dare they buy there, Um, so, if there's going to be a war with China, look for it to break out in Africa. It's just so many things. I have a daughter that I raised by myself, sacrificed more than I could ever tell you about. But, a month ago, she kicked me to the curb hard. Don't want to hear from you anymore. Don't want to see you anymore. Uh, so I guess some personal things going on too. But, in the overall scheme of things, I have two things that keep me getting up in the morning, and starting a new day. One, faith in my God, and the other would be my intellect. I don't even know why I'm still here. I have some medical conditions that almost defy description. But, all I can figure is he must have a purpose for me because I'm still here. So, in time, his purposes are always revealed. And I don't think this won't be any different. And it seems like as though I have a guardian angel with me at all times. I very well might, who's to say? But right when things look their darkest, I receive a beam of light. I've had some family and friends that have really, really stepped up their game to keep me around. And, I appreciate that more than words can say. But, I guess we're all in the same boat. And I guess we'll all just have to just wait and see. Food shortages are coming. Grand solar minimum I've talked about, it's here. And we're not even into the bad part of it yet. But, people can be sheep. Here, put this mask on and stand 6 feet away from this other person. Well, okay. I see you're protecting the public. Oh, okay, I get it. But you're also keeping us from communicating with one another. Why is that? There's no vaccine for this virus yet, but if one is developed, guess who owns the patent? Bill Gates. Well, actually, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation owns the patent on a vaccine that's not even been created. You know, uh, there's some funky stuff going on uh, that the average person is not privileged to. And not trying to start any more riots here. It just passing on information that, as I get it. And some of it is obvious, but you know, second stimulus check, we don't know. Trump's against it. But then again, he doesn't make that call. Congress does. And so until next time, maybe the world will right itself and turn back into the world that we once knew. But just some advice for you here. Don't hold your breath. See ya.